Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood questline is one of the best in the whole Elder Scrolls franchise. It is a story of intrigue, stealth, and most importantly, assassins. And since my channel has been for a while focused on the ghosting playstyle, mainly in Assassin's Creed, I decided maybe it would be fun to try and ghost Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood quest. And so that is what this video is all about. So let's start with the rules. We have the standard ghosting rules, of course. 1. I can only kill targets. This means that during quests, I can only kill the targets required to complete it. However, since Oblivion is not a stealth game, there are cases in this run where I had to kill non-target animals, such as wolves and rats. This was due to the game placing these creatures in spots where there is no other way around. And thankfully, from my experience, these forced encounters in the questline only happened with animals. So I never killed a non-target human, which I can still consider ghosting. Second rule is I cannot get detected. For Oblivion, this means not engaging in battle and letting enemies go aggro. I also use the sneak icon, the icon when you are crouching, to make sure that I am unseen. But similar to my previous point about killing animals, there are also cases where I allowed myself to get detected by animals. This was during missions where there is really no way to avoid detection, so I decided to just not kill them and run past them. Third rule is no magic, especially invisibility and chameleon spells, since this will make this run too easy. I also would like to note that I am using mods in this run, but most of the mods I'm using should not affect stealth gameplay. The mods I'm using are Basic Primary Need. This mod adds thirst, hunger, and sleep bars to give Oblivion some survival element. It's not important for this run, but just wanted to mention this since I had some additional bars in my UI. And I had to make some pit stops also to feel my hunger and energy throughout the run. I also have an alternate start mod. This mod is so I can start the game in a different place and also avoid that long intro mission where I would need to kill goblins and such. With this mod, I was also able to start in Bravil, which is very important since I'm also using the Altair gear mod, which adds, Altair's assassin's robes. And to get the robes, I needed to go to a camp somewhere near Bravil. Lastly, I am also using the all plus 5 to attribute mod, which allows me to give 5 points to my attributes when I level up. This is just so I can avoid min-maxing during the run, since that is just too time consuming. However, to be honest, I think I only leveled up twice or thrice during this run, so I felt like this really had minimal effect. And so with all those out of the way, let's get to the setup. I'm calling this the setup since I had to break all my rules for this run when doing this. However, these were all necessary to join the Dark Brotherhood and also to get my modded gear. This starts with me beginning a life in Bravil through the alternate start mod. I spawned into a house and started looting things that I can potentially use. I then set up my character's stat before heading out. I created a custom Hidden One class with Armorer, Athletics, Acrobatics, Hand-to-Hand, Marksman, Security, and Sneak as major skills. I chose these skills mainly for stealth as well as movement, except for Armorer, which I just added since I was thinking that assassins are likely to clean their gear. For the bird sign, I usually take the Steed for a faster movement. However, for this run, I decided to take the Shadow since I wanted to use the ability to get my Altair gear. This will also be the first and last time I would use this spell in this run. With that done, I headed out from Bravil to get my Altair robes. It was in a camp just outside of the city. There were a lot of assassins in the camp which I had to deal with to get to the chest that contains the robes. Since this is the setup and not the actual run yet, I decided to just rush to the chest, grab the robe, and run away. Then I used the invisibility spell like a smoke bomb to get away from the assassins. When I was far enough, I equipped the robes and reveled at the magnificence of this mod. Now that I am a fully equipped assassin, it was time for the next step of the setup. Get into the Dark Brotherhood. Now to do this, I needed to kill an NPC in cold blood. It does not matter who, but it must be an NPC that is not really hostile. So bandits are a no-go. At first, I wanted to kill this guy who was sleeping in front of me. However, I did not have enough damage to take him out undetected and with one hit. So from my experience with this game, I remembered that there are 2 soldiers outside of Bruma who are always fighting. I thought that maybe I could kill the surviving soldier and be able to join the Brotherhood. However, I kept getting a bounty after killing the surviving soldier, and during the instance where I was able to kill him without getting a bounty, Lucian did not appear when I woke up. So I decided that I had to kill another person. Without much choice, I decided to stalk the city for unwary beggars. And that is when I found one who was conveniently facing a wall and like on a silver platter located in an isolated part of the city. And so without hesitation, I took his life. The message that dark forces were watching me appeared. And so when I went back to the inn, slept and woke up, Lucian was there to recruit me to the Brotherhood. As part of the initiation, he wanted me to kill someone named Rufio. Now, this is when the actual ghost run begins. All rules now will apply from this moment on. Assassinating Rufio was actually easy. I simply strolled over to the Inn of Ill Omens where he was located. There was really no challenge here since I only had to enter Rufio's room while he was sleeping and he quickly died with a simple punch. After that, I slept in his bed and Lucian appeared to me again, inviting me to the Cyrodiil Brotherhood Sanctuary. And so without hesitation, I went to Cyrodiil and found my way to the Sanctuary. Here, Ochiva greeted me and I greeted the other members as well. Not long after, Vicente gave me my very first official Brotherhood target, Captain Gaston Toussaint. Toussaint is in the Imperial City waterfront aboard his ship. Now, there are two ways to enter the ship undetected. First one is by sneaking via a crate that will be boarded into the ship. I tried this method, however, I got spotted when trying to find the captain's cabin. So I decided to do the second option, which was to jump to the stern of the ship. Now, thankfully, I chose acrobatics as one of my major skills, which gave me more height and reach when jumping. This allowed me to effortlessly get to the ship. The next challenge was that the captain's cabin had a very hard lock, so it took me more than a couple of tries, but I eventually picked the lock and entered the cabin. Once inside, I found myself just behind my target. This was when I found out that I could not kill him in one hit, meaning that after I hit him, he will detect me and break rule number 2. I tried with my fist, my sword, and my bow, but I just couldn't. So at this point I had two choices. One was to leave for now and grind some levels to increase my skills and attributes. However, this would be too time consuming and make me waste hours doing unnecessary quests. The second option was just to simply lower the difficulty level so that the health of NPCs are not too high. I opted with the second option and just lowered the difficulty since this run is just about ghosting the levels, and enemies having large HP pools is just annoying rather than fun. And so with the difficulty lowered to the maximum, I was able to kill my target in one hit. With that done, I fast traveled back to Cyrodiil and back to the Sanctuary. I got my reward in my next contract. My new target was a wood elf living in Bruma, so I headed to the city and easily found my target's house. The first time I entered the house, I was seen by Grom, the target's bodyguard, and so I had to reload and quickly made my way to the second floor so I would not be seen. Here, I found a crawl space where I could sneak into and loosen the fastenings of a mounted head. Doing this will make the mounted head drop onto the target and kill him. So I waited until the target was in his chair and loosened the mounted head. Not long after, the thing dropped and killed him. All that was left was for me to leave undetected. I failed at this at first since the bodyguard was able to see me through his peripheral vision. So I reloaded and decided to just parkour my way down since he was facing the other way already. And with that, I escaped the area like a ghost and headed back to the Sanctuary. The next target was Valendret. If you played Oblivion, this is the guy who was in the other cell across from you. And so to assassinate him, I had to sneak into the Imperial prison. I did this by going through the sewers. Now, remember when I said at the beginning that there are moments in this run that I had to just run past animals because of the level design? Well, this is that moment. There was really no other way except of course to use invisibility or chameleon, which I will not do in this run. And also the logic here is that animals can't alert the guards or anyone actually, so I'm basically still a ghost. So the challenge in this quest starts when I enter the crypt where there are Imperial guards. From this point onwards, I had to remain undetected. To do this, I had to wait out conversations and use timing to get through guards without being seen. Eventually, I reached the prison cells where my target was. By then, it was just a matter of waiting for the guard to leave, grabbing the cell keys, opening the door, and shooting an arrow to kill the target. For my escape, I grabbed the door key and used it to leave through the prison lobby. Since the area was like a public place, the guards were not suspicious of me at all. I then headed back to the Sanctuary to get my rewards and bonus for ghosting. The next target was Motier, who lives in Coral. To be honest, this mission didn't really have any ghosting challenge. The gist of the mission was that I needed to stage Motier's death by attacking him while a hired assassin watches. So I did that and then went to fetch his body in the catacombs after a day. In here, there was also no ghosting challenge, but I had to kill some zombies since Motier started attacking them. There was really no going around it. So yeah, just imagine this as those force detection moments in stealth games. After I escorted Motier to the Grey Mare, I then headed back to the Sanctuary for my next contract. The next target was Phalion, who was somewhere in the Imperial City. Similar to the last contract, this one did not have any ghosting challenge as well. All I did was talk to some people in the Imperial City until they told me where to find Phalion. But I do want to note that because of the Altair mod, there was a hostile assassin inside the Tiber Septim Inn. He was right in front of the door, and no matter what I did, he was still hostile. So to continue with the quest, I had to lure him out and let the guards kill him. Since he was part of a mod, I don't really think any of that should count for the challenge. So yeah. So going back to the target, I was able to meet him inside Lorkmir's house in the Imperial City. I gave him some skooma, and when he was looking away, dealt the killing blow. For the next target, I had to go to Fort Such and poison Roderick. This is one of my favorite quests since this one has decent stealth level design, at least for an RPG that doesn't really focus on stealth. If you also ghost this quest, you will be able to complete the mission without seeing the target, which is actually a cool thing. So I infiltrated the fort via a side entrance I found. Through this entrance, I waited and used timing to get past the patrolling guards. I had to wait out some conversations as well and wait for the guards to open a gate so I could get past. I followed the guards until I got to the room where Roderick's medicine was. I simply switched the medicine with the poison and then ghosted my way back to where I entered. The next quest is the infamous Manor mission from Oblivion. Many love this quest since it offers a cool and unique spin to the Assassination missions. So we get into a large house with 5 people, all of whom are our targets. Meaning that to complete this contract, all 5 people must be dead. The way I did this was actually simple. 2 of the targets decided to sleep in separate rooms, making it easy to kill them without getting seen, so I simply killed them while they were sleeping. Also, I want to note that Altair followed me inside the house. This guy is supposed to give you a quest when you get into Skingrad. I ignored him and so I guess he followed me to the manor. This made killing Primo a bit tricky since I had to kill him in one of the corners to avoid Altair seeing the act. After that, I killed the Nord target when he decided to sleep in the bed next to the other dead guest. And lastly, I killed the Vessi with a simple stealth attack, ending the quest with me still a ghost. After that, I went back to the Sanctuary to get my next contract. I am now to assassinate Adamus Philida in Liawen. Ochiva gave me an arrow called the Rose of Cities which can insta-kill my target as long as he is not wearing armor. And so I decided to visit Liawen Castle at night thinking Philida would be asleep. However, when I entered the barracks, Philida was walking naked across the room. Looking around, there were no other guards inside. And so I decided to quickly equip my bow and arrow to shoot him with the Rose of Cities. I also took his finger as part of a bonus condition for his quest. You see, I can place the finger on a desk in Imperial City to send a message. And so this is exactly what I did. I went to the Imperial City and opened a few very hard locks to reach the desk. Now the problem was, I kept getting spotted by the 2 guards in the room. So I had to nudge myself slowly and be able to reach the desk without exposing myself to the 2 guards. I eventually was able to do this and finish this optional objective. I headed back to the Sanctuary and was given the task to go to Lucian Lechance. Lucian was in a nearby fort where I had to sneak around skeletons to get to him. It took some experimentation, but I managed to go through the level without killing and alerting any skeletons, which was something I did not expect. I then talked to Lucian who gave me a horrible contract. I am now to eliminate all the Brotherhood members in the Tradenhall Sanctuary, but without any other option, I just followed his lead. Now, assassinating the Brotherhood members was actually easy. Vicente was alone in his room and so I simply just killed him. Antoinette, Tenaiva, Mirage were all in one room, but 2 were sleeping while Antoinette was sitting on a bench. So I killed Antoinette first and then Tenaiva. For Mirage, I found out he has a lot of health and a punch could not kill him. So I had to reload and use the sword to assassinate him without getting detected. Next were Chiva and Gogron who were in the training room. Fortunately, they were looking away from each other which allowed me to kill them both without getting seen. The only challenging member to kill was Stella Andril. She's a Brotherhood member who is always outside the Sanctuary and you may not even see her until this quest. The problem with assassinating her was that there were guards in Liawen where she was staying at the moment, so I had to stalk her and wait until she went into an isolated spot. Once there, I made the kill. I then went back to Lucian to complete the contract. From here on out, I would get my contract through dead drops. Oh, and I also got Shadowmere, which was nice. The first contract was to kill a necromancer in Lifrat Cave. Now, I want to be super transparent for this part. When I was playing, I didn't realize that I broke the rule. I don't know how, but I did. Basically, I used the invisibility spell from my bird sign to leave the diary undetected and get to the next room. However, in retrospect, I probably could have done what I did without using the spell, provided my sneak level was high enough. Still, it's too late now to fix since I've saved over that file already. But yeah, I did that and just snuck into the target's room and pickpocket an hourglass which killed him instantly. Then my next target was a whole family, the Draconis family. The first one I killed was Perenia. This was easy since she was living alone and the dog with her was not even looking when I did the deed. Next was Matthias, who was in the Imperial City. I first tried to break into his house but he had a guard inside, so that wasn't happening. So I waited until he came out and stalked him until he stopped in an isolated spot. Once there, I assassinated him. Next was Sibylla, who was living in a cave. Because she was living with literal animals, I had to kill a rat who jumped me instantly once I entered the cave. I also killed the wolf who was guarding the only entryway. I then managed to sneak through a couple of rats and eventually was in bow range of my target. So I just shot her with the bow and made my escape. Next was Andreas, who I easily killed while an Imperial guard was looking away. I then pulled his body behind the counter just to make sure that the guard doesn't see the body. Next and last was Celia, who proved to be difficult. Now, I can kill her while she is in her room in Leyawiin. However, I always end up getting a bounty regardless if I was seen or not. I even tried killing her with the poisoned apple, but she does not seem to want to eat it. I even took all the food inside the inn to make sure only the poisoned apple is available, but she still wasn't budging. And so after hours of torture, I decided to just assassinate her normally. Now, I got the bounty, but there was no other way. I just paid the bounty eventually and called it quits. The next dead drop target was Gigasta. Now, the problem I encountered with this target was that there was only one way to approach him, and he is facing that way. So anything short of invisibility and chameleon will lead him to detect me. So this means that this quest is a force detection sequence. So I just smashed him with my hidden blade and left the area. Next target is Chalice, an Argonian living in a flooded cave. The only challenge in this quest was just avoiding dying from drowning while navigating the cave. When I found Chalice, he was sleeping and I just assassinated him there and then. After that, the next target is Alval, a merchant staying in the Bruma Inn. This one was also easy since all I had to do was pick an easy lock and then assassinate the target while he is not looking. Next one was Havelstin, a Nord living in the mountains with his dog. Now this one proved challenging because I could not one-hit assassinate Havelstin. My damage was too low with the bow or even with my melee attacks. So even when he was sleeping, I could not kill him in time before his dog detected me. From here, I faced two choices. One, I can live for now and grind some levels until I can one-hit assassinate him. Or two, make a bargain with the devil, meaning use console commands to manipulate my skill levels. Now, I did went with option 2, but I made sure to make it fair. So what I did was this. I turned my armorer level from level 25 to level 1. This removes 24 skill points from my character. Next, I turned my blade level from 17 to 41, which was me just reallocating the 24 points to blade. However, even with this, I still did not have enough damage to kill him. So I ended up equipping the Brotherhood gear for more bonuses to my sneak and blade. I also ate some venison since low hunger and energy were also draining my stats. And so with this, I killed my target in 2 hits while not alerting his dog. With that done, I had one more target. I had to kill Ungolim, who would be in Bravil. Killing him without being detected was actually easy. At first I was struggling to do melee stealth attacks since he would detect me when I'm near him, but turns out I could just snipe him with my bow and finish the quest. Right after finishing the quest, Lucian appeared and told me that I was killing elite Brotherhood members, which are the members of the Black Hand. To get to the bottom of this, I did some investigations which led me to the Anvil Lighthouse. Here, I pickpocketed the basement key from this guy and entered the basement. I then sneak into this room trying to avoid the dog and read a diary. Unfortunately, when I came to meet with Lucien, I was too late. The Black Hand members already killed him thinking he was the traitor. Then events unfold, which didn't really have anything to do with ghosting anymore. So from here on out, I was just concluding the Brotherhood questline. I ended up with the first combat scenario against the traitor and eventually became the listener for the Brotherhood. And with that, I've ghosted through Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood questline.